Hey guys, it's Mike again from the Well That Didn't Work Cruise Learning to Craft Tabletop Terrain series. It's time to see what I've learned about base coating and priming. Stick around to find out more about Mod Podge and gesso. So first up, let's talk about Mod Podge. It's going to be your most universal base coating. That method creates a thin acrylic layer over any work surface. It's easily paintable and it retains most of the texture from the original surface. Primers like the gesso white that I have here on my workbench are best used for anything that is made of paper, like cardboard or cardstock. It's originally a canvas base coat. It does require more coats, but it's a little more cost-effective than Mod Podge. However, this will reduce the texture that you're trying to get to show through because it does require more coating. Now let's take a look at the samples I have on my workbench. The first one has been base coated in a mixture of Mod Podge and black acrylic paint. This combination lets you know that you have proper coverage, as well as it allows the carving and texture to really come through and be visible. As you can see in the next example, when paint is applied to the Mod Podge, it still retains that same texture and carving details. In the next example, I used the gesso white as a base layer to prime over the foam. As you can see, this one requires several coats to keep the original foam color from showing through. When you do this, it's building up enough layers of paint that it starts to remove the finer details of the texture. And as you move into this final example, where I've applied actual paint, now we have even more layers built up on top. This begins to cover the details of the texture even more. By the time you're done adding your various paint layers, it's no longer visible at all. There are quite a few other methods that are available out there that you can look up, but because I personally choose as my primary choice of medium to be foam and wood in my construction, the Mod Podge allows me to have a consistent base coat, one that I feel is much more protective and creates a shell. Also, regardless of what method you choose, I would suggest that you use a synthetic brush to apply any kind of base coats. It tends to get into more of the cracks and crevices of whatever you've carved out, because if you use a natural brush or if you use a sponge, the sponge's surface area, it won't get down into the detail. The natural hair is just too flimsy to allow you to get deep into those cracks and crevices. If you use a spray lacquer or a varnish as your final step, that will also work well on top of either Mod Podge or painted primer. But we'll get into more details on that as we get closer to the end of the series and we start talking about sealing your projects. I hope you've enjoyed my journey so far. If you have, do me a favor. Hit the thumbs up as well as subscribe to the channel. But most of all, smash that bell icon that's down on the lower right hand side. That's going to let you know whenever I put up a new video and you can keep up with the rest of the series. If you want to support and help our channel to grow, there's a link to Patreon down in the description below. Our community of backers will get additional content through Patreon as well as being eligible for giveaways. Oh, and on a side note, these techniques may seem very, very basic, and you have to start with terrain before you can move on to more advanced things, but I guarantee you they do work. If you want to know why I know, because here is the first building that I've made, and this is my first attempt, including a playable interior. And as always, thanks for watching, and keep on adventuring.